Good morning, Laskin Corla, and I very much welcome the fact that the Dáil has allocated time today to discussing an issue of major policy importance in Ireland, major policy importance economically and socially, that of migration policy. Over the past few weeks and months, this is an issue which has dominated so much public discourse here in this House, but also probably in houses and communities right across this country. Unfortunately, if we're being honest, a significant amount of that conversation has been grounded in misinformation, disinformation, and often worse than that. Over that time, we have seen a real coarseness develop, and truthfully, at times a cruelty entering these discussions. And what I mean by that is that we have seen a discourse that has allowed broad brushstrokes being used to label people, human beings, who come here, who come to our country seeking protection, seeking help. We've nearly forgotten the humanity sometimes in the discussion, rather preferring to use labels. And that really needs to stop, because none of it helps, much of it hurts, and all of it seeks to divide. I also strongly believe that communities have, of course, every right to ask questions. They have every right to seek information. And they have every right to do that and not be portrayed as extreme for doing that. Because, of course, if change is coming to your town or village, I see this in my own constituency, if a new housing estate is being built, people want to know what's going on, what does that mean? That's okay, and that shouldn't be portrayed as extremism, and people shouldn't be labelled for asking those questions either. So I do think today, by the Dáil, the People's House, having this discussion and the debate, it does mark an opportunity for us to try and reset the discussion and to start that open and frank conversation with people on the realities that this country and this continent and this world is facing. And this is still a relatively new reality for Ireland. It's still a relatively new reality for Irish people, because, of course, we were a country of emigration. Our country has been shaped by that. For decades, people left these shores in search of a better life. For decades, people in this House used to advocate for the rights of those people who had gone abroad. We have a very distinct history. Everybody in this House knows people and know family members who've left Ireland for a chance of a well-paid job, for a chance of a better future or a better life. We all remember all too well the GA clubs that couldn't fill a team. We remember the rural schools that closed their doors because they couldn't get the student numbers. And all of this knowledge and pain about the tapestry of emigration has woven its way through our country's history. That knowledge, that history that we have, must now shape our perspective, our view, and our compassion as we together write our next chapter. Because the Ireland of today is remarkably different. People are now coming to this country, and people are coming for many reasons. But many of the people who come here not just because they can, but they come here because they have to. And the government has to help these people. We must and we will. But we do also need to match that compassion with compassion for communities and support for communities across the country too. Because changing a town, changing a village's population is not without consequence. It can pose real challenge and indeed opportunity. And that has to be acknowledged, addressed by government, supported with resources, as Minister O'Brien is doing. And we want to keep on doing that, and we want to do it better. We need now to develop a long-term migration policy that is joined up across all the facets of government and the state. That has to be the aim. We need to develop a new policy that accurately reflects the huge benefits of migration, the benefits of people who come to this country, the skills they possess, the talents they bring. And as Minister for Further and Higher Education, I can very much attest to that. Talent is unleashed when met with opportunity. Over the course of 2023, 30,000 Ukrainian people engaged in further education and training in Ireland. 560 in addition to that are in higher education as we speak. 750 did post-leaving cert courses. 1,200 undertook Safe Pass courses to help work on construction sites and build houses in this country to help us. Our agency Solace is embedded in communities right across the country with the ETBs, teaching people the English language, so key to integration, and we're funding English language provision for people to work in our health services. On a purely economic level, our country needs inward migration, and we cannot take that for granted anymore. We need to make the case for that. Politicians who are of the centre, politicians who believe in being outward-looking, politicians who believe in multilateralism must now not be silent and must make the case of the benefits of migration. I'm a Minister for Skills. We have skills shortages right across our economy. We need people to come to this country to fill those jobs. Our education system, our businesses value migration. They value multilateralism. It supports freedom of movement and exchange of talent. International education, Lascane Corla, is worth €2.38 billion to the Irish economy. Let's not do what some other countries have done in terms of snubbing that and the opportunities and the advantages that it has. So this is a conversation that has to be grounded in facts. We must use any government strategy, and I hope any Oireachtas strategy, to combat false narratives, false information, to defend and explain what we're doing and why we're doing it. But we cannot allow that excuse about a lack of communication to in any way mainstream far-right language. Ireland's not full. Ireland is not only for the Irish. What is this unvetted male situation? When I moved into my home, I was an unvetted male. What does people mean by this? It is a loaded term. Stop using it. Ireland's a country that relies on migrant workers to staff our health service. It's a country that requires migrant workers to build our homes. It's a country that uses migrants to work in our cafes, our pubs, our restaurants, and it's vital we equip communities with the knowledge and the resources that they need to manage the changes that the communities are facing. We can never allow our conversations to develop into an us versus them, and any political party who tries to prey on that narrative should be called out. So many countries have gotten integration wrong. Ireland must and will get it right. And that does mean we need this new long-term migration strategy. It does mean we need to reduce our reliance, as Minister O'Gorman and Minister O'Brien want to do, on private providers when it comes to accommodation. It does mean we need to better communicate and better support our communities. But it also means we should never lose sight of the benefit of migration and the fact that we have a fair and firm system. We welcome people here, we support people here, we want people to come in. But if you come here and don't have a right to come here, you too will face a system that is rules-based, is firm, and you will face the consequences if you don't have a right to be here in being asked to leave and leave much more swiftly. We need to stand united in the face of a small number of people who try to hijack the tricolour and undermine democracy. And instead of pandering to them, support communities, support an honest, factual debate, resource communities, and champion the value of migration. Just like so many Irish people abroad help to build and shape countries, those coming to this country today will help make a positive Ireland for all. Gormagat.